Okay, so quick 2-3 things that I wanted to say before we start the discussion today. Firstly, thank you so much. We are into the last week of the course and I hope you are having a great time. I've seen like incredible improvement in all of you in the discussions that are happening. I can see that there are really good discussions happening. I'm really proud of that. So tomorrow, like today, we'll be discussing this system, right? And then day after tomorrow, we'll be doing recommendation system. So tomorrow, I am thinking of covering all the doubts and all the extra questions that you want me to cover. Someone had asked me to cover state design pattern, and I'll be covering that tomorrow. And other than that, I have also added an interview questions, the commonly asked interview questions on the content under the notes section in the content. You can go check it out tonight. And whatever questions you feel like you might not be able to handle, like say 3-4 systems that you feel that, you might have problems handling those systems or any specific questions related to those systems, let me know in the Discord in advance so that I can plan tomorrow's class accordingly. So tomorrow will be like basically doubt solving and all the systems and design patterns that you want me to cover. That was not part of the curriculum, but you have asked me to do it. So basically sort of delivering those things that you have requested for. So please go through all the content, all the interview questions and whatever you want me to cover, please ask me in advance so that I can plan tomorrow's class accordingly. Does it make sense? Yes, no, chat? Yes, yes. Yep. Everyone awake, right? Full energy last week of the course. And also, we had taken, like I had given you calculator in the starting and then hackathon is going on. So if you have any specific questions related to say calculator or the hackathon or anywhere where you are getting stuck, anything at all, please mention in Discord in advance because I'll have to plan accordingly. If you ask me randomly in class, I might not be able to cover because there are few things to be covered, right? Like today, I have a few things planned. Day after tomorrow, I have a few things planned. So tomorrow is the day when I'm going to be answering all the questions. So please ask me in advance in Discord today itself. Make sense? Yes? Sounds okay, right? Cool. And just quick reminder that the coupon code for the DSA course is ending day after tomorrow. So please, if you haven't signed up and if you're interested, please do sign up ASAP because I won't be able to extend it. Okay, cool. So today is like we'll be doing sort of a mock interview. Say I'll give 1 hour or more to Tanmay and to Sanjeev. And please don't bring up random discussions. Help me streamline the discussion properly. Otherwise, I'll have to mute you. And let Tanmay and Sanjeev drive this. And I'll be moderating the entire thing. I'll be asking a lot of questions. They'll be drawing the diagram and writing some part of the code. And in the end, I will show you the code that I had written and I have implemented some things that I want to show you. So just, I will show it to you and then we'll see. Cool. So today is more of discussion and mock interview, and don't take too much pressure because even if you make mistakes, it is fine. I'm here to help you and others are also here to help you. If all of you have anything to add or anything that you can do better, until I ask you, please don't unmute yourself. Please mention on the chat so that the discussion is nice and all of you get the feel of mock interview, right? So consider it like all of you are the interviewers today and those two are the candidates together. Okay. So Tanmay or Sanjeev, one of you, can you please share your screen and open any whiteboard, online whiteboard?
So can we ask doubts in between, like when they are discussing?
Mention on the chat if I feel I'll ask the questions. Otherwise, they might get very overwhelmed, right? They might get scared if we keep jumping and asking a lot of questions. Just mention in the chat and I will moderate it in a proper way. I don't want them to be too scared during the discussion, and that is why. Cool.
And then you say, yeah, everyone is the interviewer. Nice.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll be here. I'll be here to answer the questions.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
Yes, Sanjeev, do you want to share the screen or I can go ahead? Sorry to interrupt.
Any one of you, share the screen quickly.
Okay, I can do that.
Cool.
Okay.
Sanjeev, sounds good, right?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. One sec, I might have to rejoin.
Okay. Okay, and also we have covered a lot of tips during the interviews, but then when you attend mock interview, you'll be able to notice the do's and don'ts. Like think as an interviewer, always whenever you are the candidate, think is this what the interviewer would be expecting. So right now, like for the next 1 hour, all of you start thinking as an interviewer. what would you like to see in the candidate, right? So try to think accordingly, and you'll be able to help. Yes. Someone's asking, is the DSA, Sri Rajni is asking if the DSA coupon is valid till 20th. It is valid till, okay, I'll keep it valid till 20th, but try to sign up till 19th, no? Because 19th is better. That's the last day of the course. Okay.
Alright.
Yes. Tanmay, are you here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me share my screen. So, okay, wait a second. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we are able to see.
Alright, I'll just skip that part. Okay, we're here. So let me just hide the controls. Alright. So we're doing meeting scheduler. Okay, don't mind my English though. Design
Yeah,
and wow,
it's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with the requirements first. So I'll add on the requirements that I think should be a part of scheduler design, and then I'd actually want to take inputs from you also, Kirti. So even before the requirements, I'll actually go with, who the actors are, right? So I am thinking of having two actors. So for now, we'll have two actors. One would be, so one would be our schedulers, and then the second would be people for whom meeting is scheduled. Right, so these are the two actors I'll keep in mind while I'm designing the system. I'll also bring in some other people like admins and all that stuff, but I'm mostly gonna black box it, and I'm gonna design my system for basically these two guys, right? So these are my users for which I am thinking what should the requirements be, right? So the first thing, right, the first requirement, that is the basic requirement, is a person should be able to schedule a meeting, right? And after schedule a meeting, he should be able to invite the participants. All right. Then after inviting the participants, of course, being a meeting admin, they should be able to remove the participants. So this is before the meeting has started, right? I'm not talking about, so we're not gonna talk about what happens after the meeting has started. We're just gonna talk about the process of before the meeting has started, right? So do you want me to talk about what happens once the meeting has started? Because I don't think then we have anything in play, right?
Yeah, this sounds good. Yeah.
All right. So then there should be reminders, and then there should be update, of course, update meetings. So when I say update meetings, I'll also talk about time updates and schedule, basically time updates, time set. Basically, this is a part of schedule meeting, but time updates is like updating. I'd rather say update meetings. It will be covered in update meetings itself. After that, I think we should be able to then as per scheduler, there should be one more thing: mark attendees as optional or required per se. And then I'll talk about what are the things that we need for a person for who's the invitee needs to be doing, right? So he should be able to accept the invite and reject the invite. And then there's one more status, basically status of the invite, and then he should be notified, right? So that, okay, you have a meeting somewhere before 5-10 minutes or whatever this guy is setting, right? So that is the three things that I think my attendee should be doing. Any inputs to this? This is majorly the crux of system that I'm thinking, and these are the requirements that I'm talking about when I'll be thinking about when I'm trying to design the system. So do you have any inputs to this? Sanjeev, feel free to add any inputs.
So one thing, I think you can add cancel meeting to this list.
That is there, right? Update meetings is
Okay,
already,
yes.
okay, I'll do cancel meetings as well.
And also, there's one thing that was there in the chat section, and I was also thinking about it. So see, right now we are talking about online meetings. Now, room selection and availability is something that can be discussed, that should be part of the requirements or not. Let's keep it as a secondary requirement for now. Let's discuss for these requirements and then see if we want to add, and we will see how we extend our system to support room selection and check room availability. Okay, in that case, it would be like, suppose we are in an office and we want to book a particular room for how many participants, check the availability and do all of that. But right now we are talking about, say, Google Calendar. So we can not discuss this for now and keep the requirements to what he has mentioned. Sounds good?
All right. I
Yeah.
can black box this and I can, okay, I'll take this into account that where this will be happening, but I'm not gonna design for this per se. So let's go to the YAML board and start designing, and let's bring my favorite character here. This is my actor. So I'll just get my actor here. One sec. Can I make this? Can I just do what?
Just mentioning one thing. So there was one input that was coming in the chat that was good, that check participants availability or the availability of the invitee. Probably we can discuss how we can check this.
Check the availability of the invitee. So that's sure, we can do that. Let me just
Like
add that.
check their calendar as well. We can see if we can add this, yes?
All right, let me just add it here. So check. All right, we can do that. I don't think it's difficult problem to handle. So that's basically a part of a mini part of system. So we're designing the system. So I don't think it should be a bigger problem. But if it's a problem, we'll see if how can we handle it, right? So I'll go with the very first class here, right? What? So this is gonna be my facade. This will be, I like to name it as meeting scheduler system. So meeting scheduler system, let me name it as this thing. Then I'm not gonna add the field test for now. I'll iterate back to it. So this will be essentially responsible for taking in. So we have two type of actors here, right? So actor one and two, I'm not naming them. So actor will be actually calling this. It will be in association with this guy. And let me just bring it over. We have it. Yep, perfect. So this is my meeting scheduler system. And then I actually want to have two refined facades here because I am talking about two type of users here. One is the attendee and one is the person who is scheduling the meeting. So I'll actually bring in two more facades here. I'll just do this. Okay, copy this, paste it over. I have two more facades here. And this will be my scheduler system. I'm just naming this as a scheduler system. We can think of a better name here. Whatever, I don't know. Sorry for this, guys. And then this will be the attendee system, right? So this will actually take care of the attendee, and this will actually take care of the scheduler system. So there are two ways we can have this. Either meeting scheduler is having objects of both these guys, or it can actually call these guys. But I think I'll rather have a composition relationship here. So the reason that I want a composition relationship here is that I think there's no use case of having a scheduler system. So without a meeting scheduler system. So that is what I'm thinking. If you have any inputs, I'm open to having inputs here. But this is what I think, that my scheduler system and attendee system are only, I mean, I need those objects only when I have these, when I have the meeting scheduler system. So I want to have a composition relationship that it has a scheduler system. So I'll start talking about the scheduler system, but before that, before I talk about the scheduler system and how scheduler system is talking to the rest of the system, I actually want to design how my meetings would look like, right? So basically, I'm having a framework in mind that I might use here. So when I talk about meetings, I'm gonna have three type of meetings. One would be schedule an instant meeting. One would be schedule a recurring meeting, or it could be a meeting which is scheduled for some days, or let's say a single day or something like that, right? So
Tanmay, quick question. What does your arrow mean, like on both sides?
it's a composition relationship, right?
And on the other side?
It's a composition relationship.
The other arrow, the other
This
like,
is association.
No. In this composition, one side is diamond, right? On the other side, there is like a simple arrow on the
It's
same.
also a diamond,
In
no?
the no, in the attendee system and in the scheduler system, those should be straight line. Those should not be arrow, isn't it?
Okay. So, okay, the thing is that this guy actually says composition one as this, right? So I just use this.
Some
I think
do that.
some
It's-
people
fine.
uses other interchangeably.
Yeah,
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
it's
Go
the
on.
UML thing. That is why I generally use this. But if you want me to have a straight arrow, I can probably use the straight arrow
It's
moving
fine. It's
forward.
fine. It's for everyone's notice that this is composition. Cool. Go on.
All right, awesome. So I'll actually come here, take my interface. Where's my interface? I'll put interface here and I'll name it as iMeetings and meetings. I'll just do iMeetings, right? And then iMeetings I can have, so I'm not gonna type the methods here. I'll think of the methods when I'm discussing how my system is working, but for now I'm just trying to, show the class relationships, and after that I'll think about what fields should I have in a single class. Okay, so let me just add one class. So I was actually, wait, no, why do we have two classes? So I was actually thinking of having, this would be my instant meeting. So since instant meeting, and then I actually want to think that should I have two different classes for different type of so there could be a meeting that is a recurring meeting, and then there could be a meeting that is a single scheduled meeting, right? So I actually want to have different classes for single scheduled meeting and recurring meeting. And why is that? I'll get to that reason after I have completed the diagram. But if you have some other inputs, I can actually, take those inputs and
So
tell
you're
you that
saying that if my meeting recurs over the month, so if there are 30 meetings over the month, if it is recurring, you are having one object or different objects.
one object.
But then if say out of the 30 meetings, only one gets cancelled or gets rescheduled, what happens? How are you
Okay.
going to handle that?
Out of the 30 meetings, only one get cancelled or get rescheduled. That is a use case that I didn't think about.
It's fine.
So
So consider
let's
that now. Yeah.
okay, let me think, right? So let's say we are having 30 meetings. Okay, that is not a very big problem for me to handle, right? So I'll tell you why, because a recurring meeting will actually have a list of list of days or times when the meeting is being scheduled. So I can maintain a key map value there, because I also have to notify, right? So I'll be having that key map value in my recurring meeting. So if I have to update anything in the recurring meeting, it's not a very big problem for me to handle. So it's a very simple use case to have it's a very good thing to have a single meeting object instead of having instead of having 30 different meeting objects.
Okay. So you are having recurring meeting, and inside that you have like a list of those.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'll tell you why I need that list, and that is required. So I think, yeah, going with the single object is what I would like to prefer, but we can always come back to the design once I have drawn what I have in mind right now, right?
There is one common question that comes whenever you do this approach. Like I faced this in an interview. The question is that what if the meeting recurs like for a lifetime? So that is also a use case that my meeting will go on for a lifetime, right? If you have seen, there are options like that in Google Calendar. So in that case, you cannot have like a list that long, right?
Then in that case, we can have two different props, isn't it? One prop we can have, like one attribute we can have that in which dates we want to have, if it is not lifetime, which can be a map. But the other one we can have if it is a lifetime or not. If it is lifetime, then there is no need to set any values in that map at all.
Correct. So that is one way of handling it. Another way is that you can you also discuss with your interviewer that what is the timeline for which you want to support. Can you schedule the meeting, say, for 1 year later, 2 years later, 10 years later? Like in Google Calendar, there is an option that you can schedule it, say, for 10 years later, 20 years later, right? So how much do you want to support? This is just mentioning it for the purpose of discussion, because these questions do come up sometimes.
Got it. Makes sense. Makes absolute sense. Yes.
Okay. Some people are getting confused at how to handle it. He will be doing it. So basically, in this scheduled meeting, is going to have a list of all the meetings that are going to recur, right? So in that,
Yep.
he will keep the status in separately. So we'll discuss this again in detail. Don't worry, we'll also be discussing the entire flow, so it will get clearer for those who are confused. Cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So implementation 1, implementation 2. All right. So this is my scheduled meeting, and then I'll have 2 type of different meetings. I'll just get the classes there. Right. Since we mentioned the lifetime thing and all that stuff, I'm gonna write it down here so that we do not forget what we're trying to do here. So class name, this would be single scheduled meeting, and this would be a recurring meeting. Okay. And then I'll just do the implementation over. I'll have to reiterate over this if we need this or not, but yeah, I will reiterate over this that do we need this here or not, right? So like we'll come back to this for sure. So in recurring meeting we have a field. Okay, that is we have a list of key value. We have a list of key value pairs, wherein the key value pair would be your day comma date, date comma time, and so okay, wait, I did the wrong thing, sorry. So we have
Then
list.
can you quickly tell the difference between instant meeting and single scheduled meeting? Some people are getting confused.
So instant meeting is, for example, I want to start a meeting right now. That has, so instant meeting does not have any time rule into the play. Single scheduled meeting is a meeting which is not a recurring meeting, right? So we can actually not have this and have a single thing in recurring meeting itself. Now, if I think about it, the reason I did this was that in a single scheduled meeting also, I was thinking we don't need the notification here, right? So now I talk about it, I'm thinking that it's better to have a single class only.
Yeah.
Because you might want notification for instant meeting as well, right? Like for single scheduled as well. So
yeah, I think this is not a useful design. I don't think we should have this.
it is fine. Yeah.
Yep. I think let's have a
So just the difference between single scheduled and instant meeting would be, I guess, that the time would be like now, start now.
yes.
Yes.
So I'll tell you why it will get clear why do we need a recurring and instant meeting, a
Yep.
different type of meetings, but give me some time for that.
Yes.
Then again, then I have this guy. Okay, what are you doing? And then I have a plus sign again, and then I have a list of date and time, and then we have is, as we discussed, is lifetime, right? And then this will be a boolean. Okay, so as I'm essentially a Python guy, so I'll always do boolean and all that stuff. Okay, then we have is lifetime boolean method type. I'm not talking about the method. So then I will actually have a meetings manager, and so this will be a meetings manager, right? And manager will be in an aggregation relationship with where is my aggregation? Yep, perfect. So meetings manager would be an aggregation relationship with iMeetings. Again, why aggregation relationship? We'll come back to this. So for now, it might look that meetings manager is only interact. So iMeetings is only existing when we have a meetings manager, but that is not the case because our users will also be having access to meeting objects. So either they talk to meetings via the meeting manager, or if we want that, then we can have that. But I actually want to get all scheduled meetings for a user, so I think our users should also be having the meetings object in them, right? So that is what I have in my mind. So after the meetings manager, I have 2 different things that I need, right? So basically, once I've done this, these guys are essentially talking to the DB. So I'm not creating the DB here, but wait, why am I not able to move this? Okay, all right. So I'll get here and I'll talk about the notification system here, right? So I need a notification system also. So since we have different kind of notification systems, we could have let's say email notification system, then we have mobile notification systems wherein we can just display a notification over a mobile, then we can have an application notification system as well, right? So since we can have various notification systems, I'm again going to use an interface method. Oh, sorry, interface, not the methods. And then this will be my, should I have it down? I think having it here makes more sense. And this will be my high notification. And okay, why do I do this thing? All right, and then I can have a I notification, okay, whatever here, and then scrolling down, I can have various type of notification systems. For example, I'm just having one here, but I can have many. So this notification system is what do we call that? Email notification system. Okay, I'll get to this. This has an interesting topic that I want to cover. I think I can have I am thinking of an interesting design pattern here that is basically an observer design pattern. I'll tell you how I'm thinking about an observer design pattern here. A simple reason for that is that or notification should not go to a single user. Rather, I want my notifications to go to multiple users, right? So I have a list of users that are the invitees of a meeting to whom this notification should go to. All right. So I have a notification system, and a recurring meeting is actually meeting is also having a list of users, right? This is my list of invitees, list of users, and list of users, and these are my okay. And then I'm also gonna have one thing, and this will also be a list of users. So the difference between attendee and invitee is if let's say a user declines an invite, so he will not be an attendee, right?
Yeah.
So I will have notification ka this thing, and then I need to think about the this will be my abstraction, and
But then
I'll
you're
have
keeping attendees and invitees like 2 times. Like there might be hardly 1 or 2 people who cancel. Aren't you like storing the data twice?
list of user. Doesn't matter actually because this is just user IDs.
Okay, cool. So you are storing list of IDs basically. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
makes sense, right? So list of user IDs, and then you have the notification system, and then you have so basically
So in your notification system, like since you're using observer, who are your subjects and who are your observers?
so my subject these are my observers, right? Email notification system, ABC notification system classes that I'm having. My subjects would be I'm just talking. So subjects are users basically, right? So I am coming to a class that I need to create here, and this would be my subject class. Right? I'll name this as notification subject class for clarity, and then this has a list of plus list of user IDs again, right? And then this will be okay. Why do I forget to name? And I'll just say user ID list or listener list, whatever you want to say. Right? Okay. So then our notification subject is actually gonna call our notification system. Where is the association? Yep. So I have notification here, and this is actually gonna call notification system, and it is gonna use the concrete method of notify all. So it will actually have a method, right? So it will have a method that will be notify all users and users, observers, whatever, and this will return Google, let's say that all users were notified or not. So, and this is the email notification system that will do the work. And both of my meetings will actually be talking to notification subject. So the problem that I actually feel would be here is that these meetings shouldn't be directly interacting to the notification subject, because I mean, in a real system, I'd actually like to use some dark sort of scenario that does this for me. Because once the subject is created, will it be live during the cycle of notification?
Okay, I have a bunch of questions. Firstly,
Sure.
can take like a pause, like in the overall design. First is key. So every user should have a different calendar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are you not storing calendars? Are you storing just meetings? Because it's a meeting scheduler system, but
I
be able to
didn't,
see.
yeah, I didn't come to the user party yet. I
Okay,
am actually talking about the
the
meetings part
notification part
and
only.
how am I communicating, how am I having notifications with the meetings, right?
Okay.
So
who is so you have a scheduler system and it sends suppose there's a request that comes for scheduling. So it goes to where? It goes to the scheduler system. Then what happens?
So after scheduler system, I was thinking to have an application layer in between. So this would be my scheduling application, which would actually do the needful of this is the right way to do it, right? So the scheduler system is actually having, thanks for this, an application layer, right? So this would be my meeting scheduling application, right? And this application, so basically it will be having an object of application system. I'll just do the composition part here. Okay, again I did use the wrong one, but okay. An object of application system here. So after this, my meeting scheduling application system will actually talk to the meetings manager to create a meeting object based upon the request. So it will actually be having an object of meeting manager. I'm right now doing aggregation here. We can think about it if it will be aggregation or composition. But yeah, this is what I'm thinking. Okay, yeah. So this is how the flow is. So I come to the application layer. Application will talk to the meetings manager. It will talk to the concrete object of meeting. If it's an instant meeting, then it will actually not talk to the notification subject. But if it's not an instant meeting, if it's an recurring meeting, so it will do this thing, right? So it will actually, okay, here I need an aggregation for sure, or not even an aggregation. No, actually.
What do you mean by application? Like, why do we need an application as such in between?
So see, the reason I need an application here is very simple. I don't want my manager layer or any layer to get bloated, because there are a lot of things that I'm doing when it comes to scheduling a meeting, right? So let's say I got a request of scheduling a meeting, or I got a request of updating a meeting. So any request that I get comes along with a lot of things that I need to do. One is go change the meeting that you have, right? The second thing that is very important thing here is notify all the users you have, correct? And then again resend the email, resend the pop-ups again, the times change everything. Then then you will have your users responding, correct? So since these are two different functionalities that I'm having, that having a notification and changing, I mean, there are two different things that I don't want my meetings manager to do. That is why I introduced a new layer in between that is known as the scheduling application.
So this is the one that will be responsible for scheduling. Like you can call it like
Correct.
scheduler or processor, like something like that.
Correct. So
Okay.
basically, this guy is the facade, right? So I don't want my facade to have any business logic.
Got it.
That is why I moved business logic to the application layer.
Okay.
And
So
this application layer is
for
talking.
everyone, when he says application, that is just the request processor or scheduler. So that is the one that is actually doing the work of scheduling.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, this guy will actually go to the meetings manager, do the needful, create a meeting. Then it will go to the notification and create a notification that will be sent to all the users. now there would be a need to have to know that, okay, if my certain user, so to see some users calendar, right? So I'll come to the class that we are waiting for, the users class. So I had a few ideas here. Why did I take an interface? Again, I'll come to this. I'll name it as iUser. All right. And then I have field. Okay, I won't talk about the field types right now, but so why did I have an interface is I was thinking that our scheduling system could be used for two different case scenarios. So one is when my scheduler is a
I'm
sorry.
sorry to disturb again. I'm sorry. Just one thing. So there's a bit of confusion over here, like among everyone, that meeting scheduler application. So it has the notification subject, right? So basically, whenever you are scheduling the meeting, it can be either instant or recurring meeting. You will be updating in the notification subject, and that will be sending the notifications, right?
Correct.
Right. Now, there is one extended requirement that I thought of. Since we have 2 hours for discussion, I'm going to mention it. I know in 1 hour interview, it won't be possible. But since we are discussing, I would like to mention one more thing. As a user, okay? So every user can say, for example, that I want SMS notifications or email notifications, but I do not want, say, Telegram notifications or WhatsApp notifications, right? So there are different kinds of notifications because we are following OCP. You have done email notification system. Similarly, there will be, say, OTP notification, like SMS notification system, push notification system, Telegram notification system, and so on, right? So we will also discuss in the end how this is possible that a user in the starting can set up that I want these all kinds of notifications and what changes will be required in the notification management. Okay, so just something for thought, like for everyone to think about and for you also to think about. We'll discuss this in the end. Okay.
All right. So
Continue.
if I have to handle that, I think I can handle that in the notification concrete system only, right? So concrete notification system only, right? That so we are already passing the list of users, and my notify all users can have that method whether so my notify all users will actually go and check in a certain user that is it okay. So either we can have a map saying that this user should be notified or not, or we can have it inside a user object itself that I should be notified for this, I should be notified for that, and all that stuff.
I
But
feel it's better to keep user different from the notification. I guess you were also about to say that only.
yeah,
In the notification subject, we can have like user, as you were saying, the map for every user. These are the kind of notifications that need to be sent. Like for this user, has subscribed to say SMS, WhatsApp, Telegram. User 2 has subscribed to push notification, SMS notification, like that.
correct.
Right.
Absolutely
And
correct.
see, some people are asking meeting itself can be the subject. Here, the point is that he is keeping the entire notification system as separate. So it is not just meeting for which you can be sending notifications, maybe some other notifications you want to send. So you
Yeah.
can reuse the entire system. That is why he is making it maintainable, extensible, not just for meetings. It could be any subsystem or any module that needs to use notification system. All it has to do, like for example, he has meeting scheduling application and he has the notification subject aggregation relationship. So in that case, you can have that, right? So for those who are asking, Rekha, Ash, they were asking, so I've just mentioned it. And Shri Rajni is mentioning notification configuration for each user. So that is what I was talking about. We can have a map in the notification subject. We can also look at this change happening like later. Let him complete the user flow, then we'll look at the flows again. Cool. Sorry, Tanmay, continue.
All right. So I am thinking of having two user classes here. The reason being, I'm thinking about the business use case when it comes to business use case. So there could be two user classes here. One could be my individual user, like abc@gmail.com, abc@zoho.com, any user, right? So it could be our individual user. And then I can also have one more class that will be my corporate user per se. Right now, this corporate user could be an admin on all that stuff. So why do I want to differentiate these two users is that a corporate user can actually schedule meetings for an entire company, or he can send out invites to when it comes to a corporate use case, corporates are generally way more aligned that I want to keep my data different from the other, public and all that stuff. So instead of having a field inside individual user, I want to keep a different type of user, corporate user. And when we are talking about this user, and let's say he wants to schedule a meeting for an entire company, instead of sending a list of attendees, he can actually just mark a parameter that do it for an entire company, and then I can have a list somewhere in a different class that okay, or a map, or I mean I can store it in any sort of place. So I'd like to do that in some DB. I'm not gonna name, but if you want an example, it could be Redis, a key value store or something like that. That okay, for this corporate, I have these employees and just schedule a meeting for all the attendees, right? So this is something that a corporate user could do. So that is why I am thinking of having two different users. That would be like an individual user and a corporate user. So when it comes to meeting scheduler specifically, my user will be actually having a list of meetings that he's having. So instead of having a list of meetings, instead of combining meetings and users, I can actually have a calendar which will actually talk to my meetings manager to see that okay, these are the meetings that are there, so for a user, right? So we can have a calendar class.
Hey, some people are still confused. Can you just quickly repeat the difference between individual user and corporate user? Just quickly.
So corporate user is not a, so imagine this, right? So you have a use case, you're working for a company today. So let's say this is a small scale business that you have, and you gave it as a SaaS platform to a company today, and that company is using this thing. Now let's say that company, I being part of a company, want to create a meeting that is there for an entire company, and I have like 200 participants in my company. So I don't want to type in the list of all the users that I want to create a meeting for. I would just want to have a button or a button in UI with which I can just create a list, create a meeting that could be there for all the users, right? So in that use case, I'd actually want to use a separate type of user that is a corporate user. Also, uh-huh.
Sorry to interrupt, but can't we just have one user and allow group mail IDs in that case and keep the group mail IDs mapping in a separate place where we can access it?
What do you mean by group mail IDs?
So most of the companies we have group mail IDs where a single mail ID correspond to multiple mail IDs. That so if we use that group mail ID, the mail will be sent out to everyone that is in that mail group mail. So we can have a mapping stored corresponding to one group mail ID, whatever people have to be send that mail or meeting notification or something.
Give me 1 second, guys, please. I have so to answer your question, actually, okay, we can have a group mail ID. What's a new user signs up? So how do you handle that?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Let's say a new user signs up, right? So to the group mail ID thing, how will you add him to the group mail ID?
Yeah, so that can be an added functionality. Like if we want to add people into a group mail ID, that will be a separate thing to discuss. But covering your thing that will be more extensible if I may consider that if I have to cover around 100 people in a meet like to invite them into a meeting. So I should be able to create a group mail ID rather than creating a corporate or an individual user. So in future, if a individual user wants to send mail to multiple people, then how would he switch from individual to corporate? Like that question may arise in this case.
Sorry, come again. How would a person switch from individual to
If an
corporate
individual user wants to send mail to the entire not in an entire company, to 100 people, so it will be very cumbersome to add one mail ID one at a time. So I was thinking of the group mail ID scenario that would be much better, so that the user should be able to enroll the other users whom he wants to send a mail for a particular type of meeting and keep them in the group mail ID and access that rather than having two different types of users. Yeah.
So that's actually a very good input. Like even I did not think of it. So basically what Rahul is saying is that, so suppose I'm working in Intuit, okay, and I'm working in team A and someone else is working on team B. So if I have my manager wants to send meeting to team A, just sends team A @intuit.com and sends it. So it goes to all the people. And suppose the skip level manager wants to send to say team A and team B, can say do joint team A, B, something, there's a group and can send you that. So that is then an Outlook and common thing like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
So yes, so these kind of discussions are just mentioning that these kind of discussions are very good when we are discussing end-to-end system design like this. But for interview, it might be like too much to discuss this. For now, I leave it to Tanmay whether you want to take this up or you don't want to take this up. But it is a very good point. I agree with you that it would be a good way to deal with it. It is okay, Tanmay, if you feel that it will take too much time and you don't want to deal with it right now, or you can consider it.
So
I think we can just keep a simple user for the sake of the interview.
For now, let it be, let individual corporate user, let it be for now. Maybe like I'm just thinking of it right now on the fly that maybe we can use composite design pattern as well because we are treating like a group of objects and the object in a similar way, right? If you all can think about it, composite would be a good use case for this. I'm just thinking about it right now. What do you all think? Like, let me know in the chat as well. But for now, for simplicity, Tanmay, I feel just go ahead with user.
Can you give me 1 minute? I'll be right back. There's someone at the door.
Sure, take your time.
Right. Sorry for that.
Yeah, no. Others, see, by the way, see, we are doing very end-to-end system design over here. In an interview, you wouldn't be expected to do the entire thing, right? So we are taking time, we are discussing also, but the way he is handling is just incredible. So you should be able to see that how he is handling that we are cross-questioning. He's thinking about it, he's able to answer, and he is not just saying, I want to do this only. So note these points also in terms of, say, for interviews, for mock interviews. Composite is good, yes. How much is sufficient in the interview is a good point, Rohit. So if I was in an interview, I wouldn't like have two separate systems like attendee, scheduler, because it would become too much. Notification, I wouldn't go into so much detail. I would say black box it, that there would be a notification system and we can use observer design pattern over there. I would rather focus on writing one part of the code and maybe come back to this and work on the UML for the rest of the
So when you say like you black box, you won't even show that in the UML. You
I will just make like a dabba and a box, and I would mention that this is a notification system, and I will probably write over there that I will use observer design pattern. But let's come back to this later, because if you see, notification is a very important point, no doubt about it, and we should be talking about it in the system. But unless I'm able to schedule a meeting, notification is not more important than scheduling a meeting, right? And what is our topmost priority? We should be able to write a small part of the code, at least a small one part of the code we should be able to write. Say, for example, if I was dealing with this in an interview, like when I have, say, 1 hour or 45 minutes, I would just say use a factory and say make instant meeting, recurring meeting, and say, okay, schedule. So this is a facade, there's a scheduler system. And I would just write like take 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and I would start coding. Okay. So how much ever UML I am done with in half an hour, I will stop there. I will switch back to code. And if I have any time remaining, I will come back to the UML. So this is the smart way of doing it. But this is the discussion. So it is good that we're discussing in so much detail. I'm just telling you how you can handle it in interview. Okay. Tanmay, are you back?
Yep.
Continue.
So yeah. After this, I think only the reason I differentiated these two guys was to have different domains for different business use cases. That is what I think we should have. When I'm designing some code, we can of course have a composite design pattern here to have a user group, or we can have, in fact, we can also treat user groups as a separate entity in itself. And your core, so basically the thing is that your corporate user here is having a user group, right? A list of users that it wants to give notification systems to and all that stuff. So I can have user groups as a separate entity, and I can be in a composition relationship with be in an aggregation relationship with the user group. So it could be aggregation or composition, would depend upon my use case, but I'm thinking it should be it should be composition for now. Let's say only user is using the user group. So I'm not going over there as of now. I'll go there if I have time. So for now, okay, I have this. I have a I user, I have an individual user and a corporate user. I'll actually remove the corporate user part if you want. Doesn't make a lot of difference if it's causing some confusion. So
Yeah, for now, just remove it. I guess
okay,
it'll be easier for everyone.
Yeah.
We can just deal with user in general. Yes.
all right. What is happening? Okay, so for now I'm just having user, but I'm still gonna have an interface because tomorrow we can have various users and all that stuff.
Cool. Yeah.
We can think about that. Then my user will actually be having a list of meetings, right? So there's two ways that I can do this. I need your input here, Kirti. So do you want me to have a calendar class here? So calendar, this is something like a bridge pattern. So calendar is actually the implementation of user, similar to bridge, not exactly a bridge, but yeah, I can say that calendar is the implementation of user, and user is actually having a calendar.
Are there different types of calendars?
Yeah, there can be different type of calendars, right? So there could be
Somebody can be using Google Calendar,
Google
or
Calendar,
Native
Zoho
Calendar or something
Calendar,
like that.
and things like that, right? So okay, I should have actually, I'll be quick to have an interface here, and this would be your iCalendar. I'm not gonna draw the subclasses here, but iCalendar.
I was
Right.
not expecting you to go into so much details to have different calendars also. This is impressive. Okay.
All right. Thanks. So I have an where's the composition? Where's this? Hold up. Right. So I have a aggregation relationship here, and then my iCalendar is actually having a list of meetings for that user, and list of meetings would generally mean that it is having, it is in an aggregation relationship with the I meetings. Okay, it doesn't seem good, but yeah. So yeah, this is a sort of final design that I have in my mind, and of course, there will be a user manager. Like we cannot forget the manager there, right? So user manager and your meeting scheduler will be in an aggregation relationship with user manager. So for this system completely, it should not be an aggregation relationship. It should be a composition relationship, but I'm just assuming this user manager could be used somewhere else. That is why I'm keeping this as an aggregation relationship. We could be also having a composition relationship here, and then your user manager is basically having your users and doing all the stuff over your users. So your user manager, yeah, this is the design that I'm thinking to have in my mind. Any inputs, any questions?
Opening questions for everyone. Like anyone has any questions, let's discuss for 5-10 minutes so that it's an open discussion for everyone.
Okay.
Anyone has any other inputs or any discussions, feel free.
I would like to start with the doubts. So notification subject is having the list of the users, right? So basically, if the user is changing, then a push notification or something like that would be forwarded to everyone. But what about the changing in timing? So don't you think that notification subject should also have the meetings as well? Because if we keep meeting, right, then directly if meeting timings change or meetings number of users change, directly mail can be sent, right?
So basically, let's see that how the request of changing the timing would come. Okay. So the actor would send it to say meeting scheduler system, because that is the facade. It would send to scheduler system. Then it would send to meeting scheduler application. And I'm guessing from there, he will send the notification, because meeting scheduler application will be updating the meeting as well, and we'll be sending the notification. So basically, whenever any change happens, so it goes, whatever changes happening in the meeting, it goes through meeting scheduling application, which is connected to notification subject, and that is when notifications will happen. Does it
So
make sense?
don't you think, yeah, that makes sense, but don't you think that here meeting scheduler application also becomes a subject, because that is notifying this meeting manager as well as the notification subject?
See, meeting scheduler application has the notification subject. So it is sort of a wrapper of the notification subject. So you can say ki it also is the subject, because in the end, that is the one that is making the changes. The point is ki it is not directly talking to like saying ki send notifications. Basically, notification subject has that, okay, this is the list, and it is making the changes.
Okay, and let's say you said that he is keeping the notification part separate, that it can be used by some other system as well. But let's say we are designing only this scheduling application. In that case, don't you think that scheduler system can directly talk to the meeting manager? Why?
Let me answer this. So yeah, in that case, I would say that I'll still go with this design. Reason being, today the LLD design that we're doing for an entire system, thinking it's a monolith service, right? But tomorrow, if let's say I have 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 customers, and my notifications are going at a QPS of 10K per sec, 10K, right? QPS is queries per second. So I don't want, so my instance would be bloated up just by notifications, and eventually I would like to have notifications as a different microservice in itself, right? So if I go with this design, it would be very easy for me to have notifications as a different microservice. But what you suggested, in that case, if I have to separate out notifications, then it becomes a chaotic thing for me, because then see the layering that talks to the notification subject is a very bottom layer, right? It is also the layer which is talking to your DB. So when I'm talking about the context of layering, I would not recommend to have your recurring meeting or your meeting concrete classes to directly talk to the notification, even if you're designing for this system. That is what I think. Kirti, feel free to add any points if I'm wrong.
No, you explained it in a wonderful way. Yeah.
So
But
what I
also-
meant is, can't we merge these things like meeting scheduling application and meeting manager? Notification is still separate, right? Just
See,
that meeting.
See, what is the responsibility
Let me
of each of them?
again let me answer this, right? So I didn't go to the part wherein we had the offline meetings scheduling as well, right? So let's say you have this system today, and we did what you're trying to do, right? So you are having this here, right? You say you have this here, right? Now let's say you have an offline system as well, offline meetings as well. So all you'll do is you'll create a new class, right? And this class will be your offline meetings, correct? And it will be very easy for you to create a new class, have an offline meetings here, and wait, whatever. I'm just trying to explain it to you. So अभी offline meeting आ गया, but how do you, so you want your offline meetings to talk to notification subject as well. Now you need to make one more change here, right? So see the number of changes that you're doing here, then you'll have an aggregation relationship either be, right? So the dependency is increasing here. I don't want that dependency to increase. Rather, if I have notification, if I have this thing here, right? So if I have it here, that the way it was, now we don't need to talk to so we don't need this here, right? The dependency decoupling is there. I can add as many as meeting types as I want to in meetings, and it will still go for the notification. So one domain of my system is not dependent on the second domain here. But if we go with what you're trying to say, I'll have to have the dependency there. This is what I think. I might be wrong. I'll let Kirti answer.
But also in a way, like adding with Tanmay here on this point, while designing a system, you cannot really predict that if this is going to be your only requirement anyway, because
Correct.
you should design your system in a way that even if, let's say, you are 100% sure that it is going to be your only system, like your only requirement, in that case also, you need to design it in a way so that in any worst case scenario, it can be extendable. Because otherwise, if you make it extendable, you have the option of luxury later on. But if you don't make it extensible, later on, you will have to deal with the headaches, isn't it? So.
Okay.
There is one second. So there's one very good question that has come from Rekha and Meenakshi in the chat. Tanmay just mentioning it for you. Notification subject has user IDs. So it fetches user details using user ID from user manager and sends notifications, or how does it work? So according to me, okay, first answer Tanmay, then I would probably add something to it.
All right. Yeah, I was thinking of having a valid use case to have a user manager. Thank you guys. Now I can actually give a valid use case of user manager. Why I actually thought about user manager here is, let's say I have one more user that is added today, right? So this guy is not fetching users, right? This guy is actually talking to user manager, and this guy is actually, let's say, so there's a bi-directional relationship that I want here. Where is the association to? This is the best thing that I like. So there's a bi-directional association that I want here, right? The reason I want a bi-directional association here is, so this guy, let's say today, tomorrow, a new user is being added, right? So new user would actually, so I need to update the user list also. Then user manager will have the responsibility of updating the user list in the notification subject. Now the question was, if I reiterate over the question, how would notification subject get users to send the notifications? To send the notifications, concrete class do not need the entire user object. They just need a field that is, so they need a map. Map would actually, so we'll have a map that would say that, okay, this user has subscribed for some certain notification system. And then we'd have one more thing, that is the contact of that user, right? So just to fetch the contact of that user, notification system will talk to user manager, which will have a function that would be like get user contacts, and it will give the user IDs and it will get the user contacts for that user. So this is how these two things will talk. I'm sorry I missed this bidirectional relationship, but yeah, thank you for the input.
Meenakshi, Rekha, is your question answered, or do you have any like follow-up question on this? Just mention in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself. Another good question that has come, Tanmay, is can you mention the conflict handling flow? So your user might not be available, and if there's a conflict, how is it handled? Maybe like how would you extend your system to be able to handle that?
I think Kirti, let's just do a one flow, complete flow, how it is going from here. Like
Okay, I
how
didn't.
meeting is created and how it is going, how conflict. One complete flow. Let's just do it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I can do that. Let me add one more thing here. Right, and then I can do the complete flow.
It would be good while mentioning flow if you can mention some of the attributes of the class, like which class is keeping what.
Okay, sure. So let's say I have an actor, or let's say I have me, Tanmay, who wants to create a meeting for all you guys, right? So I'll talk to the scheduler system and I'll say, okay, I want to create a meeting. What should I do now? And then my scheduler system will actually see, the facade will see, okay, it's a request of scheduling a meeting. So I want to forward this to my scheduler system. Now that scheduler system has a request, I didn't go to the request processors, but yeah.
What do you mean by request? What is the data? Like what are...
One sec, sorry. Tanmay, can you please zoom in a bit? Like it, some people might be viewing it on phone and all, might not be able to see.
Sorry. I was on a desktop. Yeah. So meeting scheduler system. Okay, the spelling is very weird. No, and the scheduler system is actually having, let's say, scheduler system is having functions like schedule a meeting, update a meeting, cancel a meeting, add invitees to a meeting, update. So update and update is actually having all those add invitees to a meeting, remove invitees from a meeting, update timings of a meeting. So it's just an update meeting which will have a past request, right? And then your scheduler system will go to the meeting scheduler application with that. Let's say we are trying to create a meeting right now. So for creation of a meeting, I'll have time, then I'll have list of attendees, and I think only those two things right now, right? Then meeting scheduling application will have a function that, okay, it will actually have an object of meetings manager, which has a function in itself that create a meeting. Now, which sort of meeting do I want to create? Is it an instant meeting or a recurring meeting? This guy is already aware of it, right? So our request is having what sort of meeting it is. So let's say it's an instant meeting for now, or let's say it's a recurring meeting. Let's talk about the recurring meeting, right? So it will call the function of meetings manager that create a recurring meeting for me. It will go to the factory, recurring meeting factory. The name should have been factory, but never mind. And this guy will actually create a meeting for this, depending upon all the data that has been provided here, that this is the data that you want it to happen on Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 9 to 11, whatever. And it will create an object and give it back to the meetings manager, which in turn will give the object back to the scheduling application system. Now that meeting also has a list of attendees, right? So the request has a list of attendees and the time. So now this guy will actually talk to the notification subject and say, this is my list of attendees, right? So this user ID list, this is my list of attendees. Please go and notify with whatever notification I want to have, right? So whatever notification I want to enable, notify all the users that this is the meeting and it's been created, this is a recurring meeting and all that stuff. And all the users will actually, this email notification system will send out a notification. So I was actually thinking that sending out a notification is a domain event, but yeah, so this guy will send out a notification that will go to all the users, right? Now,
No,
sorry
before
guys.
before sending the notification, like when you are trying to create a meeting, it has different participants, right? And each participant could already be in a meeting. Like suppose you are trying to schedule for 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. One particular user who is compulsory attendee of the meeting is already in the some other meeting. So how are you going to resolve the conflict? Like how who is deciding if this
I
meeting
am
could be
give me
created or not?
5 minutes. I'll come to that. Can you bear with me for 5 minutes? Right. So let me complete this flow and then I'll talk about what you are talking about right now. So all the notification has gone to all the users. Now my users have gotten the notification. Now again back to the actor. Now that actor can respond that okay, I want to attend the notification or I don't want to attend the notification, right? So the scheduler system will see, okay, now this is an attendee request, right? It will go to the attendee system saying that okay, this is the meeting, right? This is the meeting ID and he wants to attend the meeting, right? So this is the meeting and he wants to attend the meeting. So this attendee system will go to the meetings manager and it will say that okay, he wants to attend the meeting and we'll add it to the list of accepted invitees here, right? Then coming back to the attendee system, we could actually have an application here that would be attendee application that would be talking to meetings manager and the notifications saying that okay, this guy is attending and the user. Okay, I should actually add that. I forgot to add that since we were in shortage of time. This is an application. I'm just naming this as APPL right now, and instead of this is actually talking to my application. Seriously, you do this? Okay, never mind. And then this application is actually talking to. So I let me draw the arrows. Never mind. This guy meetings. So I'm not drawing all the arrows, but yeah, application is talking to your meetings manager that he has accepted, rejected the meeting. Your application is only talking to the user saying that okay, update the calendar of that user that he's attending this meeting and all that stuff, right? So that is one thing. Now the question comes that as an end user, I want to view that whether this guy will be available at this time or not, right? So that is the question you have, right? So how that is a separate request altogether, right? Think of request. What is happening? So no one, I'll just talk about it. So let me zoom in. That is a separate request. Now an actor makes a request that I want to see whether person ABC is available from 2 to 3 p.m. on Tuesday, right? So this goes to the scheduler system saying that is this person available or from 2 to 3 p.m. on Tuesday? It will go to the application system, which also has an object of manager, which will call this object and say, tell me whether this person is available on Tuesday from 2 to 3 p.m. User manager, if you see, is directly interacting with the individual user and the calendar, right? So this calendar is actually having the information whether this guy is available from 2 to 3 p.m. Now, what happens in real-time meeting scheduling systems is that you can actually send an email invite to a person who's already in a meeting, and he can have two overlapping meetings. Now, it's on that attendee to attend a meeting or not. You can mark him as whatever you want, but the third person will, I mean, the attendee will decide whether he has to attend the meeting or not, and that is what he does, and that is a separate call altogether. So these calls and these requests for a system are separated out. So it's not a problem. It's not a problem for a person to not to be able to see what is happening in the meeting. Make sense? Does that answer your question? Hello?
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. So I'll update the application layer here, but this is what I have in mind. Any questions, guys?
Hi Tanmay. Actually, my question was regarding the bi-directional relation that we have between user and notification. So,
Okay.
if I'm not wrong, the notification subject will go to the user manager to see what all users he has to notify. Correct? Or not what all users. It will have the user IDs, but it will see on what all type of notification it has to send for what all users. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. But
No,
the other
no. Sorry. So notification manager goes to notification to get a list of contacts for the concrete notification system that we want to send out the notification for. For example, if it's an email notification system, my notification subject will go to the user manager and say that these are the list of user IDs I have. Can you please provide emails for all the user IDs so that I can send out an email to these users? Make sense? And what
No,
you're saying
sorry,
is,
like regarding the subscription part, can you repeat? How will it know what all users should get what all like notifications? If that's the case, that is
so
just fetching
we
the.
have I didn't mention it here, but while discussing, we discussed that we'll have a key map here, right? Okay, am I able to write it? So we have a key value pair here, right? And this will be user subscribe to notification, right? So this is a simple pub sub use case or observer design use case that we have. We maintain a list of users that are subscribed to some certain notification. Make sense? Now these notifications can be different notifications that we're talking about, right? So this uses this list to actually call the notification system.
Why is user manager having the access to notification subject?
So let's say today you are having one more user that is so let's say today I'm a user who's getting notifications from all the platforms, email, phone, SMS, whatever, right? And I get irritated and I say I don't want notifications from SMS. This is the guy who will be updating it, right? So we need to update it in individual user, and we need to update it in individual subject as well, right? So that is why I thought user managers should have the object, the access to notification subject. So what I think is, let's say the actor said that I don't want notifications on my mobile. It goes here, comes here, right? Now this guy can actually go and update here, but it needs to check that it needs to check whether, so I can do it individually, right? But
Tanmay, sorry to interrupt, but won't that make it easy if we have that map in the user manager instead
Yeah.
of notification, so that instead of bidirectional we have only association relation, so that
In that,
every time notification has to fetch any details of what all concrete class it has to use, or updation also will go to the user manager itself. So user manager will also have a purpose, and that will make the system less complex, I think.
which map are you talking about?
basically notification subject will have the user ID, and if via user ID it will fetch the user object from the user manager, and the user manager having the user object will already having the list of the subscribers which he has subscribed for the notifications. So
Yeah,
better to
correct.
keep this user sub to notification map in the user class.
Okay, you want to have that in the user class.
Yeah, in that case you will avoid that entire flow, right? Plus a bi-directional also.
Yeah, exactly. So an update will also be happening only in one place rather than two places.
Yeah, I also thought this because you are having has a relationship with the application is having has a with user manager, also with you have subject, and then you are having bidirectional again with notification subject and user manager. So yeah.
Makes sense. I think yeah, we can have a single directional relationship. So you're saying that you notify, yeah, it can be like that. That notification subject is calling user manager. But what happens if there's a user who updates? So if my user will be my actor, it will come to the system. System will come to the scheduler. Scheduling application. And scheduling application will say that okay. Yeah, I think we can have that. That is like, okay, if you want, we can have a unidirectional relationship. That is fine. Thanks for the input, guys. So this is what you're saying, right? So this, and this, so this like this, right?
Yeah, and user sub to notification map should go into the user manager.
No, right? User manager should not be having
The user
information of
manager is already having the list of users, right? If we keep this map,
it is never having the list of users. List of user IDs is with the notification subject, right? And notification subject should be responsible whether this user should be, I mean, this concrete class should be able to notify this user or not. That is something that
user manager is just like a abstraction, right? To involve.
or okay, I can actually do that. That is also a good way to do it. Not thinking. The reason I'm thinking to move this is, if we have it here, right? So that is just because I can say that.
Tanmay, I
Uh-huh.
just wanted to add here, I'm thinking it's good to have the user list or the attendees list is already in the meetings, right? So we can just use that information and meeting itself can actually talk to notification service and send out the notification. As in meetings can talk to user manager to get the details of the user, talk to notification service and send out the notification based on user preference.
Yeah, that is what we don't want, right? So if as I explained, if meetings is talking to notification subject itself, then the coupling is tight. It's not, so the layering becomes bad because the lowermost layer is, see, this guy is the, let's talk about layering, right? It's the lowermost object in your system. Makes sense. So this is actually someone, when we create this is actually talking to the DB, right? It is going inside the DB, right? It's the lowermost layer. But notification subject is not a lower layer in our system, right? It's a very topmost layer. It is directly talking to the application, right? So you generally say, following, I forgot the principle, oh my God. But there's a principle that says that your lower level layers should not talk to the higher level layers, right? So layering is important here. That is why notification scheduling application is talking to notification subject. Also, if you do it that way, then if tomorrow you have some other flow that needs notifications, see, the reason I moved this guy here, right? The user sub notification is that my notification should only be doing this, right? I provide a list and it is giving out the notifications. Now, providing that list is responsibility of the user manager, not the notification subject.
Yeah, I
But
agree to that. So I think I get what you're saying. It makes sense. So
yep,
here, what you're saying is meeting scheduling application has notification subject, has an object of
correct.
notification subject, and also has an object of meeting, is it? That
Yeah.
way, okay.
This does not have an object of meeting. This has an object of meeting manager.
Meeting
It is not
manager.
talking to meetings.
Okay, makes sense. So in that way, I think the current design is fine, right? If we remove the two-way association between
I did that
notification
already, right?
subject.
It's already removed, is it?
Yeah.
I think it's good to have that, is what I'm thinking. Why should
So
we
it
remove?
depends. No, it is not a good to have thing, right? I mean, it is a good to have thing in those use case scenarios wherein, let's say a user was deleted or a new user was added,
Hmm.
right? Then, I mean, then actually user manager should be the one which is, see, the reason I had it was that let's say a new user is added, right? Rahul, for you too. I'm just trying to explain why I had a bad bidirectional relationship. So what you guys are suggesting is, so the flow is like new user was added, new added, new added, new added here, right? So now this guy, you are saying directly go and update to the notification subject that this new user was added, and then go to the user manager and create a user. But when I'm talking about a user, I am actually wanting to talk to my user manager. I don't want to talk to my notification subject. But
Yeah,
I think since
yeah,
we are doing it
exactly.
for meetings,
I
we
think
can do it for notifications as well. It is not a big deal. It's okay.
so. In my opinion,
Guys,
I think the users should be created as soon as, like, if I have a ID with which I register in Outlook, the user manager should create an entry for me, irrespective of whether I'm
So
part of
that
meeting or
that
not,
that is
right?
actually, yeah. So that is not something user manager is doing. That is something that your scheduling application is doing.
Okay, guys, two things. Sorry to interrupt. Firstly, Tanmay, I think a lot of people are overwhelmed because this is very extensive, very detailed. You have done a great job. So quickly, like 1 minute, can you quickly tell how much background you had before the course? Because everyone is too overwhelmed looking at the design and people are not able to understand fully. So can you quickly cover one end-to-end flow and like how much experience you had before the course and one flow that, okay, this is how the
Okay.
accepting is happening, this is how the rejection is happening. This is the first thing. Second thing that I want to do is that we have exactly half an hour remaining, like, right? And I feel you will be able to do really well. But if we can take just 20 minutes, we'll assign 20 minutes and let's see if we can code one small part of the system. Like if we were in an interview, how would we do it? Because a lot of people are feeling overwhelmed
Sure.
that how would we do in an interview?
Can do that.
Yes, let's
Okay.
just take 20 minutes and focus on the code. And for now, can you just quickly cover one end-to-end flow properly and tell about how much like you prepared for this and all that so that others also feel okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is the actor. I'm talking about the create meeting flow, right? So I have already explained it once. I'll again explain it to you. I'll zoom in for you guys. This is my actor. This is my meeting scheduler system. So it makes a request to meeting scheduler system saying, please create a meeting for me from 2 to 3 on Tuesday. And these are the list of invitees that I have. And this is gonna be a recurring meeting that will occur on every Tuesday. This guy gets the request and it says, okay, it is a scheduler request. It is not an attendee request. I'll go to this guy. It calls a function in this guy, and this guy will actually call a function saying, okay, this guy gets the data, and this guy talks to the meeting scheduling application. And the scheduling application actually has the responsibility of doing the needful, right? So this is my facade. This is my refined facade, and this is the facade. So meeting scheduling application gets the request saying that create a meeting for me from 2 to 3 on Tuesday. That's a recurring meeting, and this is the list of invitees. And this guy will say, okay, firstly, I'll talk to my meetings manager and I'll tell him to create a meeting for me. And I have given him all the details. This has a concrete object of a recurring meeting, and it will create that object and give back to the meeting scheduling application. Right? So it gives back to meeting manager, and this guy gives back to your meeting scheduling application. Now, once you get that object, you're already having the list of users, right? So you go to the notification subject and you create a list of, and you tell notification that this is a new entry that I added, that these are the users that are required to be notified before 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or whatsoever, on this guy, on this duration, right? So what your meeting scheduling application will be doing is talking to the user manager and getting a context whether I have to, so it will actually talk to the user manager and say, since we have user manager here and we change the design a little bit, it will talk to the user manager and say, okay, tell me the list of users that I can notify with. So okay, sorry. This goes here. My bad. I'm very sorry for this. coming back to the notification part, we have a list of invitees here. It goes to the notification subject and say, just notify them half an hour ago, half an hour before the meeting that you have a meeting in half an hour, right? And the notification subject will actually go to the user manager and say, ask whether I can notify a certain, I mean, I have this user list, right? So tell me whether I can notify all of them with my email notification system, or there are some people I cannot notify. It will return the needful. This gets the list, and finally it does the notification. And that is how my meeting is scheduled and notification is working for the meeting. So this is the create flow for meetings that I have. Then after we have created a meeting and we have also added it to notification, it goes to the user manager, which goes to the users and actually updates the calendar of the users, uh, updating calendar with the new meetings that calendar is having. And this meeting is actually having a object of recurring meeting, right? So it, since we need the meeting details for a calendar, it is having the object of recurring meeting. Now, I don't want to confuse, but since we are doing this, we could also have a meetings proxy and your calendar could be talking to meetings proxy. But since meeting is not having any data that I need to hide, let it be like this only. So this is the end-to-end flow for create a meeting. Is that clear, or you need, is that clear, Kirti?
Yeah, one doubt here. So why is this user manager, why is this meeting scheduling application having user manager?
How do you talk to users? How do you update a calendar of a user?
But that is being done when the notification is completed, right? As soon as we get a return or a true object.
Okay, it's like no. It's like you update the calendar first and send the notification. Doesn't matter, right? The order doesn't matter actually. I mean, you can have order when you're coding it. Right now, I'm not coding, so I was just thinking whatever is coming to my mind.
Okay, so anyway is possible, right? In that case, if post notification we are doing it, then I don't think we need that has a relationship between user manager and meeting scheduling application.
You need a has a relationship. How do you want to call user manager?
When do we want to call?
Necessarily has a, no, it can be association as well, right?
Yeah, it can be association as well, but doesn't make a much of a difference, right? Since we are doing a lot of functions on user manager, I want to have an object of user manager inside application.
No, my
Can have a
that user manager, see, it is not like a data member of scheduling application. So it should uses a makes more sense, association makes more sense than has a for me. So just mentioning over here because it is using user manager, but it is if you think in terms of user manager could be used by others as well, right? Propose, say for example, for login, sign up, like auth or any other things, like user manager can be accessed other places as well. So it is not necessary to have has a relationship, can do association as well.
okay, yeah, can do association as well.
And can you repeat it once? Like, when was it accessing the user manager data? Because can you scroll up once?
Sure.
Because when someone is scheduling, right, then it is going to meeting scheduling a scheduler system to then to scheduler system and then to meeting scheduling application. So it is already having the user IDs to be forwarded as the parameters, right?
It
So
is
so why does it needs the user data? So I mean, why will it contact
so
manager?
see, right, you have, let's imagine case of having a Google Meet, right? So when you create a Google Meet, it is added to your calendar. No,
But that part is done by the notification thing, right?
notification is not adding it to the calendar.
Notification
No,
is not adding to the
No,
calendar.
no. See, when the notification is completed, it returns some object to the user manager, and the user manager then make the changes to the calendar.
It is not notification.
No,
Is
no, no,
not
no.
notification is calling user manager. It is not giving user manager anything. The only reason notification is talking to user manager is to understand whether the list of, let's say I have 3 users, me, you, and ABC, right? And I
But
don't want to
getting
subscribe.
scheduler is different object. So how it will update the user object?
Which will
User
update
is
the
having
user
calendar,
object?
but it cannot update right user's calendar.
Sorry.
Once user receive the notification, then user can save or reject. Once user saves the meeting, accept the meeting, so their calendar by default will be updated. So until that,
No, so I'm not creating a Google calendar here, right? So what I'm thinking is to have a black box that okay, there is a meeting invite pending, and that I want to show that over a calendar, right?
So yeah, to confirm, this meeting scheduling application is talking to three components, right? Firstly, the
Correct.
notification thing, and secondly, the user, this thing, user manager, and the third thing is that top wala thing. What is that top thing?
Correct.
Yeah, three.
Meeting
Meeting.
manager.
So three parallel calls we are making, right?
Mm-hmm. No, not parallel calls, right? They are like one by one calls. Why do
Okay.
you want to make a okay, we can have a parallel call, but that doesn't make sense because if this fails, right? Let's say this failed.
See, what I was feeling, right? If the user is accepting, then only we should be adding to the calendar, right?
This is just, we can add invites to the calendar as well, right? How do you add invites to the calendar? Right?
What?
You can add invites to the calendar as well, right?
Okay, yeah, that is a different use case then.
Yeah, so that is what I was thinking about. It's like,
Tanmay,
okay.
can you zoom out a little bit?
Okay,
Okay.
guys, before we do the coding round, can I quickly show you my part of the code as well?
Sure.
So I have
One question, Kirti, before we move, just wanted to know, as it was asked that if user is accepting the invite, then it should be added to means calendar. So all those minute details needs to be highlighted in UML, or it is kind of validation.
in work, it is expected to be added. In interview, it is definitely not expected. In interview, if you just mention the classes names also, it is fine.
Okay.
Cool.
Also, there is one
Also,
more level of explanation, right? So, for example, if some, let's say user is so basically notify to host or notify to the attendees, that is also like that also we shouldn't be discussing in the interview, right?
Yeah, that I think, see, you have 1 hour, so you won't be able to get into so much detailing. So you won't be able to do it. Okay,
Correct.
give me some time. Let me just share my code. Okay.
All right. So one thing, right? I didn't think anything before the class, right? I just gave 15 minutes, whatever.
So he has done a great job, that is for sure. Like everyone agrees with you. I think everyone is overwhelmed because you did so well. So yes. Okay. Cool. Quickly mentioning how much, see, I try to keep it very simple for discussion purposes itself. So I initially created some users, created organizer, and then 2 participants. Okay. And I created one notification manager. All the managers are again singleton. So I added them for notification. And in notification, I have done that, okay, if Rahul wants to sign up for SMS, can sign up for SMS. I can say probably add that Rahul can sign up for push notification or for email notification or any that sort of notification. Since we have already seen login and we also saw, I think, there were 2 common things that we saw last time, right? There was payment and login that we discussed. And today I wanted to cover notification part a bit. So I will just quickly show you the notification part, at least, the code that I have written. Okay, so here if you see, so I have a notification manager. If you see the HPP, the header file. So basically, this, again, why have I made it private? Singleton, right? So static getter is there. Static instance is there, and then mutex is there. Static instance is there and mutex is there to handle the multi-threading scenario. Then I've kept a map. Now, what does this map do? So this is basically a string. So this is essentially username. And for username, what or user ID would be better. User ID, what all sorts of notifications does the user want? A list of that. Say, so something list of, say, SMS, WhatsApp, or Telegram, something like that. And say for user 2, it will be like this. So if it is user 1 wanted all those things, user 2 will want email or say Telegram or push notification. Does it make sense? Are you able to visualize how the map looks? Any questions over here?
So you are thinking that the client will be giving every time, it will be giving what all notification it wants.
At the starting, only starting, you can think of it like the user can subscribe or unsubscribe. Like when you get a mail, you can unsubscribe that I want to stop the WhatsApp notification, I want to start. So I've set it up only once in the starting. So only in the starting I've set it up. Now any number of meetings you schedule, the same thing will be like followed. Okay. So
But this would be supporting that also, right? In every call, it can ask whether we want to use WhatsApp or not, like for every.
So I had done like that in my Swiggy design, if you have seen that. So in that case, what I would do is instead of vector of this, I would keep a pair of it, like for every meeting ID and then this sender. So for this meeting ID, what all you want to send, right? So in that case, so that was my earlier design, but that would keep it too complex. So I wanted to say, show you this. But if you want to do that, for those who are confused, let me just repeat what he said. So he is saying that right now the user is setting it in the static itself that I want these all sort of notifications. Maybe the user can say for every meeting that I want a WhatsApp notification or I don't want a WhatsApp notification. That's what you can do in say Amazon or Swiggy or something like that. Every time you place an order, there's a button over there that you can decide that I want the WhatsApp notifications or I don't want the WhatsApp notifications. So if you were designing for that, you can refer to my Swiggy Zomato ka code. It is there, but I will show you how it looks like. So it would look something like this. So it would be say meeting ID or meeting ID, and then this would be a pair. Okay, a pair of user ID and then the list of notification senders that you want. I, in fact, have the code, but don't want to spend too much time. But then this is how you can do it. That for every meeting ID, which all user wants, which all notifications. And if you look at it, we are again, so this is the interface. So if we go inside this, they just send notification to which user and what is the message that is to be sent. Okay. Now, one interesting question that was coming that, you know, how so what details do we need of user to be able to send notifications? Like for push notifications, you want some device sort of notification, some device details, right? So for that, when the user is say subscribing, you will add all of those details in the say notification manager itself per user, that for this user, these are the details, and you can add it. So for that is how it will be sent, right? Like right now, I've just added one output statement, but here the details will be used to send the notification to the user. So these are the concrete senders, essentially push notification sender and SMS notification sender. So if you see, so when am I actually sending this notification? Let me show you that. So when I schedule it, for now, I have done it in very simple way. Okay. So I've not kept it very complicated, thinking that you might not get to do the entire thing like during the interview. So, okay, if you see over here, yep. So if you see over here in my meeting scheduler system itself, so when this is where I have scheduled the meeting, right? After I've scheduled the meeting, I just got the notification manager and I said that for every participant, just notify it. And the way you want to notify the organizer can be different over here. So you can probably do that. Here I've just said meeting is scheduled to the participants. I can probably say that for organizer that, okay, the meeting request has been sent to the participants or something like that. Because in my meeting, I have all the details inside my meeting. If you see over here, I have, so this is Java code. If I show you this code also, here I've named it organizer. You can see, so this is creator meaning organizer or creator. Then there's description, subject, participants, day of meeting, start time, end time, recurring, suggested timings, and all of this. So in an interview, you can keep it very simple like this and go ahead with it. You don't have to worry so much about recurring and all of that. You can like make a simple system, and this is doable in 1 hour. Okay, simple system like that. Tanmay did like very detailed, right? You don't have to have defined facades. You don't have to discuss notification system in so much detail. You can just black box it and say probably you will use observer design pattern. But what you would do in an interview, let me just show you that. So if you are inside the main, you would probably create a meeting and then send it like this. And then the meeting scheduler system, you would get the instance, you would keep it singleton. and then you would schedule it. Okay, and just the schedule code, if you can write, you are good to go. Now, there is one important point that I wanted to cover. I want full attention, everyone over here. There's one very important point I wanted to cover. So if you see order details or meeting details, instead of sending it like this in the constructor, because things can change, right? Whatever we want to change, and this might change again and again. There's another way of doing it, that you can have metadata and pass metadata inside this. So this is basically nothing but a wrapper of all of this information. So I just wanted to show it to you that in a lot of places in daily work, you will see this happening a lot, that instead of making a huge constructor with sending a lot of information, in interview also you can do this. You can just create a metadata and you will have all the information over here. So what you would do is creating metadata would be essentially like this, or you can just create a simple meeting metadata and then use setters. But you can do that for meeting also. But in daily work, that is usually the practice that is followed, that you create a wrapper basically to send the metadata, and everywhere wherever you are using the meeting, create meeting, get meeting details, you will deal with the meeting metadata. So what will happen, you will also be able to access few things. Like for example, in meeting, there might be more details that you do not want people to be able to access, and you want them to be able to access only the metadata. In that case, also metadata is used. This is a practice that you will see in daily work, so wanted to mention it. Is there any question right now that you would want me to take up?
If you can show the UML diagram first, it would be better to understand more clearly the flow.
So I had thought of making the UML like on the fly. So I have not made the end-to-end thing like currently. What I can do is I can probably, so the rough thing, okay, you won't be able to see, I've not shared it. Okay. I can probably add it. I will probably add it in the with the code. But for now, to be able to explain, okay, let me show you this also. Okay, what I have is very simple calendar manager. I have a username and calendar for every user. So this is there. I also have a calendar manager over here. Let me show you the entire end-to-end flow so that it is a bit clear. I'm starting from main, everyone. I'm starting from main. I'm starting from the very beginning. I created some users. Okay, so just some users, nothing is there inside user if you look at it. So there's like the ID, name, description, and then user has calendar. Okay, so your user has calendar. Everyone, okay. Do you want me to keep making the UML as we discussed? Can we do that? If you can wait for 15 minutes. Can we do that? Can we keep creating the UML? Okay, let me reshare my screen.
Yeah, that would be better.
Okay, everyone can see?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, cool. So let's start making the UML. So I'll also make it. You'll have to probably stay back for some time, but I hope that's fine. Okay, so I have a user. So did I create a user? No, I did not create a user. So I have a user, and okay, for now I am not adding all the details. Okay, and my user has calendar. Okay, so user has calendar. You can see like this. So should it be composition or aggregation? What do you think? Calendar and user.
Composition.
Composition, yes. So that's what I have also done. So basically, if you see over here, I think in my constructor, I am creating the calendar. Yes, in my constructor, okay, I was creating it over here. I think I made some changes last minute. I should be creating calendar over here. Okay, so this is composition. Okay, now in my main, I've created some users. That's what I've done. Notification part can be black box for now, or do you want me to cover it in detail? Notification part I can black box for now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that is.
Cool. So I have some users. So basically now I am creating a meeting. I'm creating a meeting over here and I'm passing all the details. Now, what all information does meeting have? It has ID, participants, interval, room, subject description, and all of this is happening. So from my main itself, I'm creating the meeting. So if I have a client, my client can actually access the meeting. Or you can say that you can make a meeting metadata instead of meeting, right? So instead of creating the meeting, you could be creating meeting metadata and passing it. But for an interview, I'm saying key meeting is also fine, that, okay, client is creating the meeting and then passing it, okay? Then what are we doing it? Then we have a meeting scheduler system. So basically this is my facade, okay? Now this is again singleton. It has static instance and all of that. And I'm saying schedule meeting inside this. So now my client will be talking to only meeting scheduler system. So my client is talking to only meeting scheduler system and is not talking to anyone else. Okay. Let it be like this. So my client is talking to the meeting scheduler system and saying that please schedule or cancel the meeting. Okay. Now what is happening? So this is my facade. If I go inside this, okay, this is the CPP. This is the HPP. If you see, so this is the static instance. This is the scheduled meeting. Now inside this, what am I doing? Inside the scheduled meeting. Okay. So if I go inside schedule meeting, this is when I'm actually doing the scheduling. For an interview, I am again talking in terms of to keep it very simple. You could either have a different scheduler where the scheduling will actually happening. Tanmay had called it application. You can call it scheduler, processor. For now, for interview, what I would do is I would actually write the code inside the system itself, and I would mention that I would probably have a different meeting scheduler. You have to be smart in an interview, and that is why I've written the code like this. Okay. First, you will check that, okay, can schedule the meeting, that, okay, is it already there and all that. And then you will get the calendar and add it. So what is happening is, so organizer is the user. He has the calendar. So organizer get calendar. And then we add meeting for this. And then we add meeting for all the participants also. So we have added the meeting for the organizer and for the participants. And then what I did, I just added the manager and I've added all the meetings. So basically, okay, there's one very important point that I want you all to think about. See, tell me this, if I ask you this, my user should have calendar but my calendar will also have users, right? Will have meetings and meetings will have user. So doesn't it become cyclic dependency? All if you think about it. So my user has a calendar. So this is one of the problems that you will face when you actually start designing system. Let me write it down over here. So my user has calendar. Okay. And my calendar basically has meetings and my meeting has users, correct? Everyone agrees to this? Do you understand the problem that I'm talking about?
Basically, user has meeting and meeting has user, right?
Yes. So this becomes a cyclic dependency, right? Because user has calendar and then calendar has meetings and meetings has users. So you'll end up in a problem, right? Hello, everyone awake? Are you able to understand? Are you able to understand the problem that I'm talking about? And if yes, how would you handle it? Okay, I can see a bunch of yes, but how would you handle it? See, so in terms of code, there are different ways of handling it. Like in C++, you can declare, you can do forward declaration and all of that. But what you would do is, oh, nice. Pratik is saying ki black box. No, you can't black box this. In terms of code, how would you do it? See, in my calendar, in my meeting. So if you think about it, so I have a meeting manager. I've kept a meeting manager, which actually has all the information. So there is meeting ID and then there's meetings. And what happens now inside my calendar is, so if you look at my calendars, I have kept only meeting IDs instead of keeping the entire meeting objects. So basically what I did know, instead of keeping the meetings, I kept meeting IDs. So you understand that I will not end up in the cyclic dependency. So the guideline usually is to try avoiding cyclic dependencies, right? So you can be smart about it. And how you would do is that calendar has these meetings, correct? But instead of storing the actual meetings, meeting ka objects, what I've done is I've stored meeting ka IDs. Does it make sense? Guys, awake?
Kirti, my doubt is why do meeting has to have use?
Meeting will have participants, no?
But when we are designing, when we say add these users to the meeting, won't we be just editing the calendar of the user rather than having the
No.
meetings?
So if you do a very simple thing, you get meeting information, wouldn't you want to see who are the participants, who is the organizer?
Then we can have a list of users rather than having the user object in it, right?
So the another way is that instead of you having users, you can keep user IDs. I'm just saying that in terms of code, you might end up in a cyclic dependency if you do that. That in calendar, you will have meeting object, and in meeting, you will have user object, and user again has calendar. So it becomes cyclic.
So you'll be storing user IDs in meeting where meeting IDs in user.
So user has the calendar, which has basically meeting IDs, yes. And calendar has meeting IDs, which has user IDs. So basically, I'm dealing with IDs instead of dealing with the entire object. Just another way of handling the situation. When you actually see, these are the kind of problems that you will run into when you actually try writing the code yourself. I am sure that in a lot of cases, you will end up having problems where you will have this cyclic dependency, right? So you can think of this key, do I need to store the entire object? Why not just the ID? So I'm just telling that these are the different ways of handling it. Okay. So here, okay, coming back to the design. So my client sends a request to meeting scheduler system, which sends to meeting scheduler. So this will become the facade. This will become the guy who schedules. And then I have a meeting. So this is the one that is going to create the meeting. And from here, the notifications will go. So if you just make this much, okay for the interviewer. Like in an interview, this much is okay because you'll be able to cover 10 to 15 minutes. You'll be able to cover this. Write code for this much, complete one flow, come back and then talk about notifications and about the details. Yes, Naveen is correct. Show the problem crux. What Tanmay did is absolutely genius. He covered everything in detail, and that is great. But you should also think about time constraints. It is great for discussion like this that we are having. But in terms of interview, having shown like one complete flow is okay. Yes, interview versus work. We have to learn to be smart. So you show one flow, you write the code for one flow, maybe create different meetings, add factory or do something like this, and come back and add to the UML. Show that how you would do the notification part. Discuss more. Make sense?
So is it
Kirti, here
like
one
we should call the classes from the client itself, not worrying much about the relationship between different classes first, and try just making a simple UML with singleton and factory, and then once we have done that, then maybe go into the details of relationships.
Right. And while doing that also, be communicative in the interview and say, because of time constraints, I'm doing it like this. Ideally, they would have been a separate class for processor or separate class for this. But this is how I'm doing it for the time constraints. I will see if I have the time, I will improve it. One line and makes your life so much easier. The point is that
Yeah.
by the end of 1 hour, you should have some basic code written, some UML to be shown. And you should have shown that, yeah, I can implement one design pattern or I can think of something. Especially if it's a system like this, no, observer would be a very good system to make. So if I make this, after this, I can make the observer wala, that notification manager, and it is easy to make also. I can make it, okay, let's time it. It is 10:59. Give me 3 minutes, I should be able to make it, okay? So I am making, I'm not even copy pasting, I am just writing it down. So I have I notification center. Okay.
Kirti, just one thing to ask, like before you go for notifications and all. So when you talk about the problem of meeting scheduling, one thing that was initially coming to my mind was that the focus would be on conflict resolutions, because meeting is the crux is that you should be able to handle conflicts, and maybe that's where the focus of the interview should be. And this notification, login, payment, this comes out to be as very common things, in most of the system, though those are, they come up. So
Login
how
payment,
do
I
we go
agree.
about it?
Notification
Yeah.
is important. You can, conflict is a very good use case, and you're correct. You are absolutely correct. But we all agreed to the requirements in the beginning, right? If anyone would have said, oh, conflict is very important, if you would have discussed with the interviewer, it would have been fine. If your interviewer is okay with you talking about notification, it is good because you are able to show code for one design pattern, you're able to show it. It is okay. But yes, you are completely right that conflict is a very important point and you can discuss it. But handling it in terms of code, I don't think it is a very big deal. I think it is fine to be able to handle it. In the end, you will just say, ki, oh, the meeting status was this. So basically, if you look at the code, if I show you my comment, so there'll be different meeting statuses. They'll be scheduled, they'll be cancelled, done, ongoing, none, and all of that. So you can probably have that. And also probably for every interval, you will have that, is it free or is it like interval status can be there, right? Free, available, blocked or something like that. And if it is blocked, you can probably say that, okay, accepted, or you can set another notification. I don't think handling code wise is very important, but it is an important point and you can mention with your interviewer. It is not necessary that if you do not handle conflict, then you have not done a good designing. If you are able to do a basic flow and if you're able to talk about notification, that is also good. For LLD, two main important points is one, user flow you should be able to tell end to end in UML, and one, like some part of it you should be able to show in code. So that is the most important part.
And just one more question. When designing the UML, should we be focusing on the flow more, like how this is going to, what are the connections, everything? Or while drawing the UML also, I should be focusing, okay, what are all the data members I'll be keeping?
No, because in an interview, you won't get the time, honestly. You won't get the time to focus so much on like the data members and all that. Just keep mentioning maybe. And if something is very important, like here send notification is important, so I've mentioned it, right? And copy pasting also makes it very easy, right? So like this, I would probably mention it so that when the interviewer refers to it in the end, things like the person has mentioned so many things. But be smart and don't mention all the detailing like ID, all those things I wouldn't mention. But like, for example, I would mention calendar, organizer, all of that maybe I would mention, but I would not mention, say, room, subject description. I would just say it and go ahead. Ki, haan, okay, there will be ID, subject description. I'm not mentioning it right now and I would go ahead.
Okay.
Yep. So the point is to be smart and to be able to show as much as possible in the interview. Okay, cool. So this is something like this I can do in the interview. So if I have notification sender, so here I have basically done observer design pattern. I can say that, see, this is my observer, abstract observer, and then these are my concrete observers. And whenever the meeting is scheduled, this guy can probably talk to this guy and send the notification. You can either do like this, or Tanmay did know that he added one extra layer over here. There was notification subject. That is the ideal way to go about it, and you can mention it. Otherwise, this is also okay that I mentioned. See, this is very simple, right? What I've done is I have done observer design pattern. I can probably do factory design pattern. I can have composite design patterns, but just mention and write code for any one part of it. Good enough. Okay. I know that some of you are overwhelmed today. I know that some of you feel that, this was not very detailed discussion, but it was also to make you think from the interviewer's perspective. What are the do's and don'ts? Because first interview, everyone makes a lot of mistakes. So this was more of a real experience, like what are the do's and don'ts, how to organize your time properly, how to manage it properly. Tomorrow, we'll be focusing on doubt solving. Day after tomorrow, we'll focus on one more system, which maybe I will regulate, or one of you can regulate like today. Let me know in the Discord, what do you prefer? We can do both ways. I can also regulate, or one of you can do like mock interview sort of thing also. Tomorrow we'll be talking about doubts. So if you have any doubts, please ask me on Discord today. Go through the common interview questions list that is there on the in the notes section under content section. So check it out and let me know if you have any doubts. I'll cover tomorrow. Okay, please remind me on Discord whatever you want me to cover tomorrow. Any specific questions or any worries or anything that you're feeling right now? How many of you are overwhelmed?
Kirti, like you said that we should just make a UML, like however, like I'm just confused whether we should make it
Okay, I've muted. Go on.
Yes, sir. So I am confused whether we should make it extensive first and then say because of time constraint we are covering this part, or should we make it like more friendly to us so that we don't get stuck in between the interview, like or get overwhelmed, like would we be able to cover the whole thing or stuff? Like what should be the case? Yeah.
See, the thing is, you have 1 hour, right? So maybe, see, if it was a broad system, then your requirements must have taken, say, 15 minutes of your time, right? But if it was a very simple system, say chess, requirements must have taken, say, 10 minutes. So depending on how much requirements took time, you will take time for UML. The point is at least 30 to 35 minutes, keep it for code so that you are able to code. And the remaining of the time you use for UML. Now, depending on how much time you have, you make the UML either very, very descriptive, or if you have 10 minutes of time, you cannot make it descriptive. The end goal is that you should have written some code. So be smart about it. If you have 10 minutes, just mention the classes, mention the maybe arrows, and say, I will come back to this if I have time. But for now, for time constraints, I want to be able to write code for some part. So I'm picking this sub part and I'm doing it. But if you have time, say if you finish requirements in 10 minutes, then easily you can have 15 to 20 minutes and you can do a more detailed UML. The point is not to freak out. There is no right and wrong over here. Not like, why did you not mention this in UML, or why did you mention this in UML? There is no right and wrong. You need to be smart. You need to save 30 to 35 minutes for the coding. So depending on, see, if it is a system like Zerodha that you have not heard of, that you have never used, right? Maybe it is a complex system. You will need time for requirements. Then you will not have so much time for UML. You will have to be smart and go ahead to the code. But if it is a system, it is an easy system that you have done. Like, for example, we have discussed meeting schedule in so much detail today. So you know what questions to ask. So maybe you can ask questions quickly and you have 20, 25 minutes remaining for UML, then keep it detailed. Show off your knowledge as much as possible, right? But be smart. Don't get too overwhelmed. Don't get very tensed. If you see, one of the very good points about Tanmay today was that he was not freaking out. There were so many people asking him questions. Why did you do this? Why did you do this? Why did you do this? There were things that he did that he went like, I can improve on this. Maybe I could have done this like this. But was he able to give you the thought process? Was he able to communicate that what was my thought process? Why did I think of this? It is okay to say, I did not think of this case and I thought of this case and that is why I did like this. But you are absolutely correct and I can make these changes accordingly. It should be a discussion with the interviewer. It should not look like you're very stressed out. You are very, what do I do now? And okay, I don't have any time remaining. If you do that, it doesn't look like a discussion. Get my point?
Yeah, but a follow-up question on that is, if we make the UML descriptive, what are we expected? Like, if we say like, I'll be able to cover this part, will that show incompetency in some way, or like, how should that be?
Yeah. Oh, no. See, if you were able to write code properly, like if they were able to see your coding skills, and if they saw that you implemented, say, 1 to 2 design patterns, it is okay. You should be able to communicate it properly. UML, like it is more of you were able to show the classes and the relationships. Maybe you can mention the important methods. It is fine. It is not like if you were not able to mention everything in UML, it is a bad thing. Trust me, most of the people can't even do UML because you have attended the course, you have done so well. It will be impressive if you are able to do UML. Most of the people don't even know UML details, the arrows, nothing they know. They just directly jump to code and still they are able to clear because they were able to write code properly. They were able to explain these will be the classes. I will have this inside this. I will have this inside this. But it will be extremely impressive if you are able to write the important methods in the UML, if you're able to show the relationship, that composition, aggregation, and all of this. I think you guys are very overwhelmed because you are very well prepared. Like whatever Tanmay said, no, it is one of the most ideal interviews. The point is to cover the crux of the problem. That what problem are we trying to solve? Schedule a meeting. Were you able to finish that flow? If you are not able to do that, no matter how good UML you make, you will not be able to clear the interview. You should be able to write code for one flow at least. That is the problem. That is the main thing. You should be able to code at least one flow. If you are able to do that, even if it is like call this my class, call this class, just write one output statement, But if you're able to show it that, okay, this is an interface, there is an abstract method, now these are the classes that are inheriting, just write it in one file itself. Good enough. It is okay to write it in one file. But were you able to at least show one flow in your code? That is the important part.
So is it right to say
like
that only scheduling
one
meeting?
has okay.
Yeah.
ओके
So is
कीर्ति
it
लाइक जैसे एक पर्सन का एक्सपीरियंस 3 ईयर है राइट, एक का 10 साल का है, तो वो क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं? जैसे आप इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं तो आप क्या एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे कि मतलब जो 10 ईयर वाला एक्सपीरियंस है वो उसका थोड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स होना चाहिए या फिर स्मूथ होना चाहिए? कैसे मतलब आप एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं?
Okay, so his question is, if it is 10 years experience versus 3 years experience, what is the difference between the expectations? See, if you have more than 1 year of experience, I expect you to not be stuck in the code anywhere. If I ask you questions, you should be able to answer. For 10 year plus, you should be able to think more of use cases. More, you should be talking more in terms of your real experience of what you have worked for, right? But 1 hour is equal for everyone. The expectations will be same only. But for fresher with someone with 1 year of experience, it will be okay if you do some mistakes in the code, if you take some time to think about it. For someone with significant years of experience, you have to be able to explain everything, and you should be able to think thoroughly why are you making this decision, and you should be able to explain. It should not be like, oh, I did not think of this case. Oh, I did not think of this case. If that comes from a 10-year experience, I will be like, oh, not good at all. Versus with someone with 1 or 2 years of experience, if he or she was not able to think of a particular case, it is fine. Okay, you did not think of this case, it's completely okay. But with someone with 10 years of experience is not able to think of a particular case, I'll go like, why is he not thinking? Like, that will be my thought process.
ओके, थैंक यू। वन मोर क्वेश्चन, लाइक जैसे आपने बताया कि ऐसा होना चाहिए, ठीक है, तो एक क्वेश्चन मेरे ब्रेन में अभी आ रहा था कि one second.
Hello.
Your mic is stuck, Atul.
I have a question, right? So the UML I designed, that is how I generally think for the flows, right? So if I'm in an interview and I have to design an end-to-end flow for scheduling a meeting, I think I will be creating the user part, I'll be creating the meeting scheduler, and I'll be creating the meeting manager, right? I might skip a bit while coding, but I think, so, I mean, what happens is like 5-7 minutes, they'll take an introduction per se. And then they'll start giving you the problem statement, then you discuss the requirements. It's already like 20 minutes into the interview when you start the UML, right? Then you do the UML. I think the entire part with the manager and all that thing, if I'm thinking through, I'll take about 20-25 minutes to do that or less.
So you cannot have that much. Like, you have to have time for coding for at least last 20-25 minutes.
Yeah, that is where I think I might get stuck. So how do I I don't know how to jump over it, right?
Probably a better way to think about it is from the get-go, you are thinking about supporting the user and everything, right?
Correct.
Probably you can keep it aside. Like from the get-go, just do the meeting scheduling part at first, black box every other thing. And then if you have time, then go into the second priority list which you have.
Yep.
Yeah, Kirti ma'am, I'm audible?
Yeah.
यस मैम। मैम एक्चुअली जैसे मैं अभी इंटरव्यू देता रहता हूँ, 6-7 ईयर्स पे दे रहा था, तो वो क्वेश्चन लाइक हमें ऐसा रैंडमली नहीं बोलते कि आप ये वाला करो या वो करो। वो तो बोलते हैं कि जो आप कर रहे हैं जैसे बैंकिंग डोमेन में कर रहे हैं वो आर्किटेक्चर बना के बताएं। सो ये थोड़ा मतलब यहाँ मतलब आप ये जो भी बात कर रहे हैं ये कितने एक्सपीरियंस पे बात कर रहे हैं कि ऐसे रैंडमली बोल देते हैं कि आप ये बनाएं या फिर आप एग्जांपल दे रहे हैं मुझे, थोड़ा ये तो कन्वे करें। एक्चुअली मैंने प्रोडक्ट पेज में अभी दिया नहीं, तो मैं वैसे पूछ रहा हूँ, एज सिली क्वेश्चन हो सकता है।
No, this is a good question. So he's asking that a lot of times, like, the exact system is not given to you, and you are asked to explain about what you're working on. But this Atul happens more for high level system design. So even in my Intuit, like that was Intuit interview, that is what happened, that what are you currently working on, show the high level system design of that. So that is usually for to see the coder only codes or actually has the idea of what he or she is working on? Do you have the entire idea of the system that you're working on? Do you know the high level system design architecture or not? So that is usually what is asked. For low level system design, usually you're given a problem and you're supposed to code on it. But what can happen is, like, for example, they will initially ask you in 5 minutes, ki, what do you work on? Maybe interviewer has not thought through ki, what will they ask. And suppose you say ki you work on banking system, and then they might give you a question that is related to banking, but like you will have to handle it accordingly, right? So high level system design case, usually it happens more over there. Low level system design, usually they'll give you that this is the exact code that you have to write. Or if you're giving it to you, so they basically want to see how much you are doing in your daily work also right now. So that is what they're testing. Okay, are you able to handle it or not? But see, the smart way to handle is, even if you do not know, let's say ki you are not very attentive, or the work in your company is horrible and you are not doing any great work. So the smart way to do about it is ki if you were designing it, how would you do it? See, they are not going to go to your company and start looking ki whether you have done the work or not, right? You start talking as if you're working on a new system. Like it happens to all of us ki, we are in a company, like maybe we are working on a legacy product, and the things that we have worked on is not very good. Like it is not something very impressive to show in the interview. It is fine. The interviewer is not going to go and check whether you have coded something or not. Just talk about it as if it's a new system and say ki this is how I can design, this is what happens, this is what happens. Just have a high level idea and then talk about it in detail.
Okay, got it. Like means कि हर एक प्रोजेक्ट कुछ कुछ मिलता जुलता होता है, तो वो थोड़ा देख लेते हैं कि इन्होंने कुछ करा हुआ है. Okay, got it. Thank you.
So if you have say 5-6 years of experience, they really want to see ki you are working, like you're interested in your work. So that is why a lot of times they will ask you ki what is the work you have done. Maybe related to that we will ask, right? Also things like, say for example, I am asking you to design Zerodha, and you have never worked on any stock market app or anything like that. Then there's less chances that I'll give you Zerodha, unless I want to see your coding skills. But if we have worked on a system like that, I'll probably give you something like that. Like, for example, in my first company, I worked on taxes, GST. I was working on GSTR filing and all of this. So in Intuit, I was asked questions related to that, because Intuit is also something related to accounting only, right? So I was asked questions related to that only because I have previous experience of that. Their main point, interviewers' main point, is to see your coding skills, not your skills of handling very hard systems. Because there is only 1 hour, they also understand you want to be able to write code instead of being stuck with a system that you do not know.
Okay, good. हाँ, yes, I agree. Like वो पहले से देख लेते हैं कि जिसमें अपने काम कर रहा हो वही पूछते हैं.
Yep.
ठीक है. That's why resume is there. Okay, thank you.
Preeti, the question I'm going to ask now might sound a bit generic and might depend on the interviewer. But like when Tanmay today started the interview, like the mock interview, it felt like he is driving it, like in the way like he is suggesting what should be done, and he was asking for your inputs. Whereas what we discussed in the class was we should ask the requirements constantly. So what is the like? How should it be proceeded? Like for a new system, obviously we'll go for question and answer. But for a simple system, if we know the requirement, should we play dumb and start questioning the interviewer about small details, or should we be like, this is what my perspective would be? You can like Tanmay did.
So see, the thing is, you have limited time. You don't have the time to look dumb and ask a lot of questions, right? Because in the end, you have to write code. Like requirement gathering is okay, but you have to write code and draw UML. So you have to manage your time. It is on you, right? So the better thing, what Tanmay did, I think I mentioned this only in the class. I don't think I have mentioned ki you keep asking the interviewer only. What you should be doing is you suggest what according to you is right or wrong, but never go like, okay, I am only going to keep talking if I am the candidate. If I only keep talking and if I don't take any inputs from interviewer, then it's a red flag, because I am not, like, maybe interviewer has something else in mind, right? So you suggest ki I am going ahead with this. Is it okay? Do you have anything else in mind? I think Tanmay drove it very well, because he was not wasting any time. He wrote down the requirements and then waited. He took a pause of say some time, few seconds, and asked, do you have anything to add? Is it okay? Like, for example, we mentioned the conflict thing, right? So it came up in the end that why have we not handled this? Now, if Tanmay did not stop and went ahead, maybe interviewer had that in mind ki, he has not mentioned conflict and is not even giving me the, the opportunity or the chance to be able to say it. Versus if Tanmay stopped and said, ki, is there anything you would like me to add? If interviewer wants you to cover conflict, he will mention that, okay, he or she will mention that cover conflict. This is an important point. Cover it. Okay. It is okay if you miss something, but be communicative. Don't just keep mentioning things without taking input from interviewer, but don't just keep asking also. It will show that you are not using your own brains and you are trying to get everything from the interviewer. You should be able to show that I am thinking, but I am also taking your input and it is a discussion. So I am driving it as a candidate. I am driving it, but I am taking your inputs into consideration. Make sense?
Just wanted to know that. Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Yes, so everyone is saying, right, that after completing the components, he was stopping and he was asking, is it okay? Should I add anything? Does it make sense? Like that. Okay, it is 11:20. See, tomorrow is a very chill session. We will cover all of this in more detail. Any questions, we can discuss this more in detail, like meeting scheduler system also tomorrow. If you all would like to come up with any UML diagrams, even rough UML diagrams, please share on the Discord. It will really help others also. Okay, everyone, go sleep. Good night. Please show up. 2 more classes to go. See you. And I hope to see you in DSA again. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Tanmay. You did great. Everyone, clap for Tanmay. He did really well. Okay. So everyone present today in Discord, and right, it takes a lot of guts to show up like this. Yes. So great job.
Kirti, if you can show that the complete interview perspective mock design, or if you can post any video on YouTube, that would be great. Like exactly this is how you should go, the flow of UML, and after that, designing one part of the UML or one part of the system.
Have cheat sheet and roadmap on the on my YouTube. I will paste it on the Discord. If you still think you need more details, let me know. I will cover tomorrow. I'll paste it right away after the class. Cool?
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Everyone, go sleep. Good night. See you tomorrow. Bye. Thank you so much for staying.